All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. Man, Jermell Charlo shooting shots right back at Terence Crawford. Man, these guys have been having a back and forth for a while. This time it is Jermell Charlo going in at Terence Crawford's weak resume. Specifically, what he says is I ain't gonna say he ain't fought nobody, but come on. These people were old. Amir Khan didn't want no smoke. SHIT like that was going on. They put that little Russian, Aegis Kalvanakis, in front of him, and he got rocked. He jumped up to the big jump up to the big leagues with the PBC gang. You know who's running boxing right now, who's paying the big checks, said Charlo. But before we get into that, I just want to tell you real fast about today's sponsor, the Boxing Showtime app. It's a very useful app that keeps you updated on all things boxing, and you can keep up with the latest fights, where to watch them, the latest news, and a lot more. For any hardcore boxing fan like myself, and most likely all of y'all, I would definitely recommend downloading it. And it also is most definitely a big support to the channel. It's available for both Apple and Android, and you can find the link in the description below. Thanks for considering downloading Boxing Showtime's app. But let's get back into the subject matter of the video. So, this was again reported by Boxing News 24. This was an interview that was given by Jermell Charlo to ES News. Sounds like it may have happened a little while ago, and this may be the first time that I'm hearing about it. Judge off the fact that he said, jump to the big leagues with the PBC gang. You know who's running boxing right now, who's paying the big checks. Well, that has taken place. He has jumped to the PBC gang, and he is fighting ERROL Spence Jr. next. Now, Terence Crawford, for his part, was on an interview. I do believe the interview was with Gilly the Kid, and Wallow on $1 million worth of game, where he talked about Jermell Charlo and said that, he and Jermell Charlo used to be cool at a point in time, but once Terence Crawford moved up to 147 pounds and started talking about fighting ERROL Spence Jr., that the tone of Jermell Charlo changed, and all of that, right? Which to me, I did a video about it, man. Kind of sound like a little bit of sour milk right there. Because as I recall it, Terence Crawford was the first one to really start talking about, really start getting into Jermell Charlo and saying, calling him a cheerleader and saying that after he gets done with ERROL, he's going to move up and fight and go ahead and beat Jermell Charlo up at 154 pounds. And that he wanted to be undisputed. He wanted to be an undisputed champion in 3 weight divisions at 140, 147, and 154. And the last piece of that would be Jermell Charlo. So, I'm not quite sure how Terence Crawford can feel any type of way about that. But Terence Crawford's kind of sensitive in that regard. Not sensitive in, like a soft type of way, but sensitive in the fact that he gets offended by people that he think is rooting for the other guy or on the other guy's team. And probably, I think, uses it as motivation for himself to get himself upset or to get himself motivated to to train harder and to beat the other guy. He did the same thing recently. My understanding is that he did the same thing recently with Steven Jackson. Steven Jackson, if you're not familiar, is a former professional basketball player who was with the Indiana Pacers, and she was with a lot of people. He was with the Indiana Pacers at a point in time. He was with the Dallas Mavericks. He was also with the San Antonio Spurs during maybe 1 or 2 of their championship seasons over there. So then now he's covering boxing in part for Showtime. He and another guy, Matt Barnes, have a show together, and they interview boxers and the such. So, obviously both Jermell Charlo and Steven Jackson both work for Showtime and they both cover Showtime fights. So I'm not really sure why Terence Crawford wouldn't understand that that they may be leaning towards the guy that works for the same, that is associated with the same companies that they work for, right? No different than what was going on between Tim Bradley and the rest of the people over there at Top Rank that would predict Terence Crawford would beat Errol Spence Jr. And that's why I say, to a large extent, you got to take these predictions that are made by boxers and commentators that work for networks. You got to take them with a grain of salt, unless you are 100% sure that they are neutral in their affiliation, because you're going to get them talking about the guy that they want to win and not necessarily the guy that they think will win. So case in point was like, you listen to the way that people on ESPN cover Lomachenko versus covering Devin Haney, who going into that fight with Vasily Lomachenko was no longer signed with Top Rank and really, isn't a lifelong Top Rank guy, or, a guy that came in out of the amateurs and signed with Top Rank, working out at the Top Rank gym in Vegas. He's not doing all of that. He's working out he came into the pros. He's working out in Mayweather's gym, right? So just a completely different affiliation between them, and I think you can tell that in some of the commentating that takes place. But at the end of the day, man, the fight got made between Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford. So we'll get to see, what this resume conversation is about, because, when you look at it on a piece of paper, everything that people say is true about Terence Crawford's resume, that it is older guys on there, guys that really were no hopers and the such on his resume. But, again, I'll say that, like when I talk about pound for pound lists, and the reason I think I have Jaron Ennis on mine. Resumes don't fight. You may very well find out that, Terence Crawford is the type of guy that, he did fight a bunch of dudes like that, but when he gets in there with somebody else, they may not be able to do anything with him either. You know what I mean? So resumes don't really fight. However, I do know this: Errol Spence Jr. does fight, and that is going to be a very difficult fight for Terence Crawford to win. If there's any residual effect from fighting a bunch of people that don't have any choice, really don't have any chance to win, right? If he gets in there and he was like, hold on, man, this is a totally different thing, and he's not had to raise his level to that level ever in his career, that it'll be maybe a tough situation for him to get there. But anyway, we'll see. At the end of the day, man, I don't see the fight between Terence Crawford and Jermell Charlo ever happening. Jermell Charlo ain't crazy. I mean, Terence Crawford ain't crazy trying to go up there and fight that dude at 154 pounds, man. That is a little bit over his pay grade. That is a little bit too big for him, if he's not already in too deep against Errol Spence Jr., a fight that I am most definitely looking forward to, though. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.